What's up? It's a 3M podcast. My name is Charlie.
My name is Deejay.
My name is Sean.
Just a group of friends. We tell spooky stories. We tell funny stories, everything in between. If you're new here and you just want to go straight to the stories, look in the description below. There should be a timestamp. You can jump directly to stories. But if you're a real one, you want to hang out for a while and get a little warmed up before we get spooked, stick around.
We also got Ren and Young Kalima in the studio with us tonight. So
shout out. I forgot. Apologies.
And the chat.
Happy birthday, Kalima.
Chatters in the chat.
Thanks.
Guys, what's up?
Just a little update. We continue to grow hella much. We get a lot of subs, followers on all our platforms. It's cool. I like it. But the best part is, have you guys been watching how many stories are getting submitted?
Yes.
Bro.
It's the dopest thing ever. It's like, we were starting to get a little stale on stories. Like we were running out. It was like 2 a week, 3 a week. And now it's like 10 a day. 10 a day are getting submitted. It's pretty crazy. It's getting a little unmanageable, but it's a good problem to have. So
right, yeah.
If you're listening and you got a story, don't let this dissuade you. Send your story in. The more, the better. It's what will make the podcast even more fun for everyone. So send them in. You can go to our website, the3ampodcast.com. Yeah, but it's exciting. I've read a couple and there's some good ones already. In fact, we got a user story that they sent it in, and immediately I was like, we need to build a whole deep dive around this story.
What? That's what I'm talking about, dude.
So I'm excited.
Hell yeah.
But anyway.
Well, thank you for everybody, new and old, for joining in. We hope there's something here for you.
Definitely. Do you guys believe in manifesting? Do you think it's real?
Dude, I go back and forth.
Okay, what makes you go back and forth? Like what happens in your mind that does that?
I think it just depends on the day whether it's happening or not.
It's like I tried and it didn't work, bro.
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes, I do.
Okay, why, Sean? Because Sean, I brought it up before the pod and you got a little excited as if you were ready to like bring some shit to me.
Actually, I was just trying to like play the devil's advocate, but let's be real. I actually do believe in manifesting, because if you just kind of like do something about what you're trying to say you want to have happen, I feel like that makes things happen. So,
dude, faith without works is dead, bro. That's why this is the best religious podcast out there.
Yes, for sure. Anything that can happen will happen. And like focusing your resources and efforts and mind energies towards trying to make something happen. I think luck is controlled by quantity, for sure. Like quantitative output.
oh yeah.
Like your luck increases the more you blank.
Like work at something.
Exactly. But and yeah, I think the universe is at work doing its own thing, but like centering ourselves at within the universe. Sometimes I jive with, sometimes I don't. Because it's like at the end of the day, like the universe, nature, like a lot of times does not care about you. You know?
You're an ant.
Yeah. Thank you. Why? What's on your mind? What have you manifested recently that's worked?
Well, real quick, before I'll get to that, and I will take all that credit. Before we get to that, maybe Sean described the practical side of manifesting, and then DJ described the woo side. Does that make sense?
Sure, yeah.
The practical
side. So like, how would you describe
manifesting
of like, yeah. It's kind of essentially what just DJ just said, like working hard, putting like effort towards something, eventually you'll get there. It puts you in the right place. But like, okay, so we did that. Sorry, Sean. What's the woo side?
Okay, I was going to say.
The woo side is probably The Secret.
So what does that mean?
Who wrote it? Who wrote The Secret?
It's a secret.
God.
Yeah.
But who put it into words for us plebs? Whatever the author,
universe, bro.
Whatever the author's name is for The Secret.
There's a lot of people who are like, all you have to do is make a vision board and just repeat things like, I will be rich, and then you'll be rich. Do you know what I mean? And it's like all about aligning your like manifestations and chakras and things like that. Like there's a real woo side to it, but I also think there is a real practical side to it. So either side of the spectrum you fall on, for me, it's all like it's energy in the right direction.
Yeah.
I don't think it's for naught. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I agree.
We're all on the spectrum a little bit.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. So yeah, we've talked about it already. Your boy, manifested us charting by making that meme saying we charted.
True.
But But I don't know if you guys saw. Did you see the story I posted today?
With Post Malone?
Yeah.
You trying to make that happen?
Bro. I posted it and our good friend Janelle hit me up immediately. And she's like, guys, this will happen. I'm manifesting it for you. And I've been manifesting so much in my life right now. Everything is working for me. This will happen. And she said it with so much confidence. I was like, damn, it's gonna happen. So just be ready. When Post hits us up, his team hits us up, and he does an episode with us. Be ready. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
One of my best friends hit me up and said that their brother works at like this gun shop in Salt Lake. And literally today walked in Post Malone to buy 70 stacks worth of guns. And I was like, so do we get him to like, name drop 3 a.m. and start talking spooky stories? So
bro, I'm telling you, things are aligning. This is kind of crazy. Can I be a little creepy?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, before I get real creepy, one of our listeners on IG hit us up and they were like, bro, Post is building a house in my parents' neighborhood. And they all refer to him as that one rapper guy with the Lamborghini. So like, we know people who know him. And then
typical Utah response.
That one rapper.
That one rapper.
rapper.
The one Gentile.
Yeah. Yeah. But I also know this is where I start getting creepy. I know where he like goes to the gas station quite a bit.
That's specifically creepy.
Yeah, I know. But we could like, make posters and put them up in the gas station. Like, yo, we're trying to get in contact with your ass. Like 3 a.m. wants to talk to you. Because he loves spooky shit, dude. He loves ghosts. He loves aliens. He has a crazy story. Did you guys ever hear his story where he almost died?
I don't think I have.
So, Zach Baggins, infamous.
Like when he fell on the stage recently?
Yeah, no, that's a whole other thing. No, Zach Baggins from Ghost Hunters fame, just the coolest ghost hunting bro out there. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Sure.
So it's kind of like the Warrens' museum. His is in Vegas, and he has a museum of a ton of haunted shit. And he brought Post Malone in. I think they recorded some type of episode, and he saved this thing where he had a Dybbuk box, which is supposedly a box that has a demon sealed inside of it. And Zach Baggins came into possession of this thing. Whether or not Zach Baggins is the most credible dude, that's another discussion. Either way, he came into possession of this box, and he was like, I saved this for us to open, him and Post Malone. And they did, and I think they like taunted some shit. They opened it? Bro, they opened it. And I
think Post Malone plays Magic the Gathering, though, so he probably had like some protection trap card or something to lay down. Like Exodia, like,
of course, dude.
Get back into the box, dog.
Black Lotus type card, yeah. Some 9.9 condition card around his neck. Anyway, they opened it, and I Post talked about this on like a talk show, and I think he talked about it on Joe Rogan, and then he said he felt weird, blah, blah, blah. Dude, after that, he got into I think a car accident or a plane accident, but he almost lost his life. Yes. What? Right after that. Dude, I need to Google it real quick. Just so I get the facts right. Post Malone accident.
You don't mess with Dybbuk boxes, bro. Or any boxes. Leave them alone.
Yeah. I just Googled this thing. Turns out Post Malone's recent near-death experience may be because he's cursed. He was on a private jet, forced to make an emergency landing. Tires blew out. And barely a week later, Post Malone was in a car crash, but emerged unscathed. So like right after he opens that box, he almost died twice. Which is crazy. And then it says, going on, armed thieves tried to rob his home, like right after that, but he wasn't there. And he had just a huge string of bad luck right after he did that.
Has no one seen The Mummy? You don't open the box.
Oh, scare beetles, bro. It's just hard to like draw the line between manifesting and then also just you making connections to whatever's most recent or relevant, But I don't think we can definitively say yes or no.
I right now am falling way more on the side of like it's very powerful and you should do it. I saw
thanks TikTok.
I saw a TikTok and it was a girl. She's in her car. And she's like, guys.
I am so lucky that everything works out for me.
But bro, I think it's true. If you just like hit yourself with that every day, like shit works out. But if you keep telling yourself like, oh, I'm so unlucky, nothing works out for me, like you kind of continue on that path.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
you're
saying?
causing it.
Yeah.
So we are lucky that Post Malone has heard about us and that he wants to come on the podcast, tell us stories, and chill with us.
Yes. Come be our White Iverson. Come down and chill with us.
Wait, okay, walk me through the experience then. So Post hears about us. He's like, hell yeah. 3 a.m., I'm down. Are we recording here in the basement?
I doubt he'll come
we
to
having
us.
him in
I
this
think we'll have
room?
to go to him. I think we'll have to go to him.
Okay.
And he'll probably be like, I'll give you 45 minutes. And if you guys want a Bud Light. And we'll have to
I was
be
going to say, do we bring him
Hell yeah,
gifts?
I'll take it, dude.
Do we bring him
Sean
I was going to say, do we bring him Bud Light? Do we bring him Bud?
Hell yeah, we bring him all the offerings, bro.
Okay.
Bring him
yeah.
some Hawaiian shit. What's that stuff you always get out? Macadamian chocolate
Pineapple Express.
True, dude. I'll bring him some onions.
There we
That's
go.
all I have to offer.
Yeah, we bring all the gifts. We just do it, and then we hit him up when we were like,
Yo,
let's
we should
talk
do a
about his
cleansing with him then if he's cursed. Palo Santo, egg cleanse,
All of
holy
the
water.
Hawaiian salt,
Let's give him a
Hawaiian
priesthood
salt.
blessing. Bro, we all got the Melchizedek priesthood.
I mean, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. Yeah, dude, let's do it.
Oh, so you can't do it?
No, not on. I'm not.
You
gonna
could
do
take the
it
egg
publicly.
cleanse and put it on
That's
me.
fake, bro. That's fake. I don't real shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I've thought about it. We're probably gonna have to go to his house. Probably do like an hour.
We should bring
And,
Kevin. Because him and Kevin are friends.
That's another degree of like.
Separation.
We have a weird connection with Post Malone. Kevin's worked with Post Malone, made him laugh. Post Malone invited Kevin to his house sometime. He was like, come over. Kevin went and dropped stuff over, and then he was like, come over sometime for like food. And Kevin's like, and then never did anything. You know, so anyway,
Thanks, Kevin.
this is enough Post Malone. It's going to happen. And the podcast is going to blow up, and we are going to get sponsors, and all of us are going to be able to quit our job, and we are going to be able to support ourselves through this, and it's going to grow, and it's going to be the best shit ever. And I'm lucky. And it's going to happen.
Bro, I'm still trying to get lucky, though, so it's going to happen.
I like it.
Cool. Kind of with that, do y'all believe in feng shui?
I hella believe in feng shui, dude.
Can you
What is
explain?
that?
I think feng shui is less hoo-ha and way more practical.
Dude, it's woo, not hoo-ha.
Whatever, woo.
Woo-ha.
Wu-Tang
Hoo-ha
feng
means
shui.
vagina, bro.
Whatever.
It's way less vagina, dog.
Feng shui is like the energies within the space that you exist. So your bedroom, your living room. Does your bedroom face, how does it face the door when you sleep? Mirrors even in the room, or just like furniture, just like how everything's organized to create like good flow of energy. And to me, it just feels more just like function. Like what's the most functional, you know?
Yeah.
I have the description. I have the definition.
Okay, go ahead.
Feng
You asked
shui,
me, so.
I apologize. Sometimes called Chinese geomancy. It's an ancient Chinese traditional practice which claims to use free energy forces to harmonize individuals with their surrounding environment. The term feng shui means literally wind, water. But DJ's right. It's like how the room is set up. It creates a flow, how you feel. And just
Bro,
feels
that's
better.
like, it's got to be legit though. Cause like I'm a little OCD about like how I put things in my room. And one time I walked in and I was like, something's wrong. And someone had come in and like moved something, like 2 or 3 things just to see if I would notice. Anyways.
He only has one roommate.
some asshole I live with.
This was when we were living at the River House.
Oh, okay.
Someone came and moved like 3
It's
or
still
4
one
things.
roommate is Jordan.
No. The River House, like the...
Okay. Sorry.
But still, like they moved 3 or
other
4
house on the
things.
river.
I walk in, I was like, something's wrong. I realized what it was, went and moved all of them back in place. And the person had walked up to my room to see if I'd noticed and was like, how did you know?
Sean, your
it's a
feng
real
shui
thing.
is sensitive, dog.
I didn't know what feng shui was, but I believe in it now.
Why do you ask?
Do you guys know faux pas with feng shui? Like some that come to mind?
Also going to say no.
Like never have like your head towards the door.
Yeah. Like if there's a
yeah.
bed and your
Yeah,
head's
with
like
your bed.
facing
Yeah,
towards
yeah.
the door, terrible, right?
Bad feng shui.
See, but I do that
Yeah.
for protection. You don't want your head facing the door. Someone breaks in, like they got you right there.
See, that's
what
just
I've
your
always-
natural feng shui.
The,
It's just, like, built
the
in you.
application is protection, but the truth of it
Is
is
feng shui.
Feng shui.
Okay.
I asked because I saw like this article on feng shui and a list of things, and turns out, you know how I've been having night terrors for like, I don't know, a year
Sure.
in the place I'm at?
And you keep like
I'm
the
bo-
jar of coins behind your door.
Bro, my room ticks off like 7 things that are like big no-nos in feng shui.
Okay, like what? List them out.
Yeah,
My
what are
feet
they?
face the door. My head is pushed up against a window. The way like the flow of the room works, like I immediately block all of it. Anyway, I rearranged my entire room, and I've like slept like a baby every night since. And I truly am like,
Damn.
besides me being up with my child at all hours of the night, when I do sleep, I have not.
That's just
woken
called
up
exhaustion, bro.
and see, it could be. But right now, I'm going to credit feng shui. The ancient Chinese art of feng shui is what I'm going to credit.
Dude. So you switching sides is what you say.
Hey, you're not always wrong. You know, you're not always. You get some like a broken clock's right twice a day. You know what I'm saying? So
That's true.
But
they got
Chinese.
one thing right. DJ, your people got one thing right.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just kidding.
We'll
No,
see.
but it's. I have felt. We actually rearranged our entire house, and like I have felt a difference, and I'm kind of a believer. Is all I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm all for that. Have you seen that guy on TikTok who he's like
Love it.
Marie Kondo's male counterpart almost, where he draws out, or he has like the little almost Lego blocks to like help you figure out like the best possible feng shui in your room.
I've seen that guy.
What?
Dude, that guy's a magician, modern day magician.
For real. So innovative.
Hmm.
It's crazy. Like
Where
he
do you-
does
where-
things
where
I'm
do you
like,
go to
I
learn
never
that?
would have thought of that.
Where do you go to learn that?
I don't know, college? I don't know.
China.
No, seriously, I feel like you have to go to like some mountain to learn that.
Oh, for sure. It's a mountain.
Some monastery.
Yeah. Where you have to like be silent for 3
There's
years
no-
and then
no-
it just comes to you.
Yeah. There's no like feng shui major.
I have no idea. But I feel like we should look into it. We should look at all like the biggest faux pas and make sure we're not doing them. Even our recording room.
Yeah, dude.
I think
The
we could
door's
utilize
right
the
there.
space better. I know. Like where you sit is where I used to sit, and every time it's like I feel a presence right here because it's just like
Even though I have the camera facing at me and I can see ourselves on the TV behind the camera and what's behind me, still
crazy.
the energy, like it doesn't solve like the energy problem.
I would agree. So we should look into that. That's
Biggest-
if you know feng shui well and you want to hit us up and help us rearrange our room, please hit us up.
This is what Google says. Biggest
Let's hear it.
feng shui faux pas: a bed on the same wall as the door, a raised toilet lid, mirrors improperly placed in the foyer, greenery in the bedroom.
Greenery in the bedroom? For real?
It says greenery in the. What is this coming from? This is
Who wrote that? Is that .com or
China. It's
What?
a.
what's there?
Well, if it's on TikTok, it should be
Dot
.China.
CCP.
Oh, okay.
.ccp.
.ccp. Xi Jinping.
Crazy. Anyway,
Wait, the
those are
toilet
just-
seat up?
Yeah, so this has got to be like around the house though, because I don't have a toilet in my room.
I think that's most people's. No, when we're rich and famous, dude, that's me manifesting. We'll get somebody
Thank you,
to
brother.
redesign the whole studio, the whole space. So the feng shui is right. Feng shui is right. Post Malone will be here, and all will be right in the world.
Yeah, Joe Rogan will be our Jamie. He'll be looking stuff up
Crazy.
for us.
Young Joe.
Just kidding.
You just doing my boy Kalima and Ren like that.
Kalima's going to be managing them. Like, Joe, come on, get to it. Anyway, talking about good feng shui, bad feng shui. I witnessed the most hood rat ghetto shit in my entire life.
Where?
Like a month ago. You know how I don't tell my boss, but I was in California like over Thanksgiving.
Sure.
Yeah.
So because of baby girl's like sleeping habits, we had to drive through the night to try not to F up her sleeping pattern. So that means a 10-hour drive starting at 5 p.m. and then ending at like 5 a.m. And halfway between the night, she wakes up and she has to eat. So we have to pull over and feed her wherever we're at. And if you've ever driven from Utah to California, there's a huge stretch in between there that is the most gross, despicable wasteland of any place I've ever been in my life. Namely, like Barstow area. Like if meth were a place, if a trailer park grew into a city, it's like that's the space between Vegas and California.
I have a tradition that every time I drive
godless.
through Barstow, I get a hot dog at a gas station.
Ooh, bro, just testing the Lord every
No,
time.
dude, it's just like when in Rome, right? when in Barstow, do as the Barstow people do.
Oh, good hell. It is every time, like if you, so you know how like practicing gratitude is good and you should like list out, driving through Barstow is me practicing gratitude. I think every time, like, thank God I did not grow up here. And if you're a listener in Barstow, my bad. Maybe move. That's all I can say.
This is making it look better than it is.
Yeah, that's cap. That's literally a 3D rendering. That's not how it works. That's a video game. So 3 a.m. baby girl's hungry. And we pull over and we're like near Barstow. We're outside of Barstow. So it's even like a smaller, more ghetto spot. And we pull over. The only gas station for like 100 miles is a 7-Eleven. And 3 a.m. at a 7-Eleven in the middle of the desert, you'd be like, okay, there's no one there. But it was the most popping the most popping 7-Eleven I've ever been to in my life. MJ had to breast pump. She was pumping. I was feeding baby girl. So we like parked in the corner and we watched the sketchiest, dude. I can't fully convey.
Like there was a function in the parking lot, or it was like,
dude, first of all, just everyone was getting gas at this time. And everyone's driving a car that looks like Mad Max. And everyone looks sketched. Everyone looks sketched. Everyone looks like a tweaker. And there was a couple people I was like, they're
MJ,
gonna rob.
Your wife's pumping. She's like, witness me.
Yeah, spraying the mouth with the titty milk.
Spraying baby girl with the milk. Witness me.
Dude, at any point, that would have helped us blend in if we just started like acting a fool.
Okay.
I have a pretty sensitive like meter for danger because like growing up in Visalia, people getting stabbed and shit. Like I have a really so for like I can sense danger, and I was watching and I was like, something's gonna go down. Like the energy is not good. Okay, there was a van. Think every window was busted out of the van. They had cellophane and trash bags covering the broken windows.
Tight.
The wheels were like, two of them were like a spare tire, and it was every time it moved, the van would lurch like, and then it would start going.
They're just doing what they can.
They were circling the parking lot. They were circling, so they kept driving. They would pull into a spot, and then they'd back out, and then they'd turn, and then they'd back in, and then they'd turn, and then they would go around the pumps. And every time a new person came to pump gas, they would come out of their spot, go over to them in the car, roll down their one window, and they'd like ask for money. And they were doing this, dude. It was so unsettling. It was crazy. And then like we're sitting in the corner in the dark. MJ's pumping.
Are they getting closer to you?
Yes. I was getting so stressed. Their car was like lurching closer and closer. And then another person, we're like, you know, when you're peeing in a urinal and it's like customary, if one guy's here, you're here.
Sure. Yeah.
So we're like way in the corner of this parking lot, and a guy out of nowhere comes and parks right by us, gets out of his car and starts smoking a cigarette like right by us. And he's just like kind of looming. He keeps looking over at us, and I'm like, MJ, lock the doors, turn the car on. Like we might need to skedaddle. Dude, I watched them like harass 60 people for money. They got a couple bucks, and then they took their lurching piece of shit van and they went right across the street to like a pizza spot that was open in the middle of the night, and then they bought pizza. This story's worthless. It was just the whole point of the story is I've never felt more unsafe. I've never seen more ghetto activity happen, and not to like just like crackhead activity. It was mind blowing. And we drove away, and MJ and I were just quiet for a while, and she was like, I've never felt so unsafe in my life. That was crazy. Everything about it was crazy. I don't know. Mind blown.
Kalima,
I'm sorry.
Kalima served his mission in Riverside.
Okay, so you kind of know the activity I'm talking about, Kalima.
Oh, yeah. It's so ghetto.
Did you see any shit? Anything come to mind?
No, nobody really bothered me. Just
Well,
because
dude, you're
'Cause
also
you're-
like 9'5".
Exactly, your Hodor over there.
everyone was really nice.
That's
nice.
true. Yeah, I noticed anytime I was on the mission and I was serving with a big ass poly dude, I noticed that like heckling stopped, and I was like, "What the?" But if I was with a tiny ass like white kid,
Elder Smith from Utah.
yeah, we're just getting accosted like every corner.
Yeah. Chased out of town.
Yeah, for real. Anyway, thanks for reliving that. We might even cut that whole thing, but it was just like I still like think about it and I get nervous. That's how shisty that shit was.
It's not like that was your first time in Barstow either.
No,
Yeah.
dude, I'm telling you, this was particularly shisty. I felt like
You
I was
drive
in
through it
prison.
every time you go home.
First time with baby.
Yeah, and first time with baby.
Maybe that's why it was heightened. Because I was
Probably.
like, dude, my child's here. It's like,
All of a sudden,
I
yeah.
might need to fight someone to death with a pencil or something out here to save my child. That's probably why. Anyway, let's transition to stories.
Yes. Okay. We're back to our deep dive stories. I'm taking it this week. And I wanted to go back home with this one. Something that I'm familiar with. I want to start off on one foot and land on a different one. So this first part is gonna revolve around the history of Hawaii, more specifically like the immigration that happened within the last 200 years or so. 1778, Captain Cook touches down on Hawaii and dubs it the Sandwich Islands.
Bro, why? Why sandwich?
It's after his friend.
The Earl
forgot the
of
fri-
Sandwich.
Exactly. Yeah. I forgot the name of the friend, but he was the Earl of Sandwich. Don't know exactly what that is, but it's a title of nobility in England. So
So he just like shouted out the homie.
yeah, he's like, yo,
"This
Earl of
is yours."
Sandwich, this is for you, dog. Yeah, this one's for you. Hey, Gabby.
About to
This one's for you.
colonize these fools for you, bro.
So he dubbed it the Sandwich Islands. Look, fool, there are already people there that had a name for it already. I hope he.
He's like,
I
nope.
hope he hears this and
Yeah. You hear that, Cook?
and understands. 1795, Hawaii is united under one kingdom and established as the Kingdom of Hawaii by King Kamehameha. Starting from there, things start to pick up, and Hawaii starts to establish itself a little more internationally. So, in the very early 1800s, more Westerners, Americans and Europeans alike, are starting to find Hawaii, primarily missionaries. So, with that, they bring religion.
Disease.
Disease.
Disease and religion. Education, more so with like literacy, and they teach Hawaiians how to read the Bible and write as well, because the Hawaiian language was an oral language, so it's like we didn't have like a writing system at the time. Everything was shared. All our stories, our history was just told orally.
Bro, if I was illiterate and someone was like, this is what you can read and brought the Bible, I'd be like, I'll just stay illiterate. Like, thanks, dog.
Dude, that thing's
Appreciate
thick.
you.
I'm not trying to read this.
Well, it's crazy because King Kamehameha II, the successor, his son, also known as Liho, was known for banishing the kapu system. So the kapu system was like the ancient religion of Hawaii. So
Bro, what a hater.
he I guess you could say found God and accepted the message of the Christian missionaries. Basically, he didn't like outlaw the kapu system, but the kapu system at the time, before it being abolished, was if you don't follow this, even as a foreigner, then like you you're subject to all of the rules. You can be put to death for certain things, right? So he basically
little
established, So Liho established kind of freedom of religion. He's like, if you want to do kapu system, you can do that within your own house, within your own right. If you want to do Christianity, you do that, whatever. You know?
He's all, but like, let's not kill each other.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody
cool.
worship.
He seems chill.
How they may, yeah. So he was chill. He had a little bit. There was like a little bit of civil war resulting from that, but it didn't last very long because he's strong-handed, and it was successfully abolished, and people did whatever they wanted to.
To this day, like in the backwoods, houses have big kapu signs on them, like "Don't come in here."
Like still following those traditions.
Yeah.
Not common, but it exists for sure. So that was the early 1800s with the coming of Americans. Mid 1800s, 1852, the Chinese came to Hawaii, and
They feng shuied their way over there.
exactly. So they were mainly Cantonese. What do you think they brought?
Gunpowder. Food.
Oh, that's
Rice.
a big one.
Rice.
Yeah, rice.
Rice is a huge one. So rice became a huge export and product of Hawaii. The Chinese, they specifically brought rice and sugar.
Oh, damn.
And
Y'all really adopted those shits.
yeah, no, for real. Boilers and like sugar mills, and just kind of established that industry and made it an export in Hawaii. So
It's like the whole
1852.
sugar cane thing.
Exactly. And because that was established, that created a space for more work in which more people came. 1868, the Japanese.
Ni hao. I mean,
Yeah. You should know better. And there's a bunch of pictures. So those were Chinese immigrants in Hawaii.
ni hao.
Following that, we have Japanese immigrants.
Damn. Look at that Queen Amidala ass haircut. That freaking croissant on the head.
So what did the Japanese people bring?
Religion.
Airplanes.
Oh, shit. Yeah, warfare in about 100 years. Initially, Japanese, they brought some iron. There's no mineral deposits in Hawaii. All of the natural resources are just like agricultural. So wind, fresh water, good soil. Yeah, so they brought iron and
Anime.
Hey.
waifus for all the men out there. Mainly just people. Tons and tons of Japanese people. And they immediately got to work in the plantations and the sugar plantations and the rice fields, and really helped get that wheel moving and turning.
They're like, step aside. We'll help you with the rice.
So that was 1868. Towards the end of the century, we had the annexation of Hawaii. And that was when Hawaii was illegally overthrown, by the U.S., and we became U.S. territory at that point. All within that time, in the 1800s, we had Portuguese immigrants coming at like little small numbers, 100 here, 100 there, at most around 1,000. So with the Portuguese, they established a lot of dairy farms, butter, corn, and somehow, I don't know why, so Portuguese in Hawaii, our Ebonics is called pidgin. So in pidgin English, Portuguese are referred to as like Portuguese, is how we say it. So Portuguese, for whatever reason, like became like the butt of all the jokes.
It's because they were like the leaders.
Really?
Yeah. They had the plantations. Japanese, Korean, Filipinos were like the workers.
Interesting.
And the Portuguese were the ones on the horses.
So I came across an article that the Portuguese were considered white and Western, but not the same as like American and Europeans. American and Europeans also were like managing plantations, but I think like the Portuguese were like kind of still at least a lot more cool with like the Japanese and the Chinese and the locals there, not as much as like American and Europeans. So that was
That's
the
just good
Portuguese.
PR. I bet they were shit.
Yeah. Well, the best of both worlds, huh? The Portuguese got lucky there. In 1903, the Koreans came. What do you think they brought?
Oh. Kimchi.
K-pop.
Skincare, you know.
Yeah,
They,
who's that K-pop people? What are they? The biggest people in the
BTS
world?
and Blackpink.
Yeah. Blackpink, let's go.
K-dramas. So the Koreans, they didn't bring really much resources. Much like the Japanese, they just got to work immediately and like help continue Hawaii's prominence in producing these new products, sugar, rice, and other exports. Then after that, we had in the 1900s, from 1906 to about 1965, the Filipinos.
The smiling people.
Dude, all of these immigrants, I mean, coming for a myriad of reasons ranging from escaping war to just wanting to build a better life to natural disasters happening and like wiping out their country with this like demand for plantation workers. Hawaii was like putting out a call to these different countries to be like, come, we need your help to produce. So people were coming by the thousands from their countries and really like starting to plant new roots in Hawaii. So
That was coming from like the Hawaiians.
yeah, Hawaiians and other locals. So
It's a little different than today's tune.
well,
Now they're
and
like,
I'll get to that in a little bit.
All
It's
right.
because all of these people are like working class people, you know,
Yeah.
and like contributing. So those were the Filipinos. They came in huge numbers. And then finally, in the 1900s, we have the Puerto Ricans. They were an example of like Puerto Rico in the early 1900s experienced like this massive hurricane that just like wiped out Puerto Rico. Puerto Ricans,
Bro, they just got lost.
Hawaii like put out the call. It's like, if you need like a new home, like come over here. We have work for you to do. Like come contribute and be a part of like our society. And Puerto Ricans, in the article that I had that was talking about like the immigration from all these different countries during the 17 to 1900s. For the Puerto Ricans specifically, it says, due to some similarities in culture and appearance, the Puerto Ricans intermarried frequently, whereas everyone else was kind of staying Japanese, Chinese. So Puerto Ricans literally, their resource was they just brought their seed. Which I feel like is like goes along with like the stereotype of like Puerto Ricans.
Was just being hella fertile.
Yeah. Yeah, like just really like potent, you know.
What did the Latinas bring? Yeah. Fertility.
Themselves, yeah. Okay, so those are the Puerto Ricans.
What's the pigeon word for Puerto Ricans?
There is no pigeon for
Oh, okay.
Puerto Ricans. For Chinese, it's pake. For Japanese,
Pokemon.
Pokemon. Japanese is what?
Kipani.
Kepani. Pinoy, maybe. That's actual Tagalog, though.
Oh,
Filipino.
yeah.
That's just
Filipino.
broken English. Okay, and the Puerto Ricans were kind of like the last big ethnic group to come into it. So here's the chart. If you're just listening, we had like a bunch of images illustrating all of this. But yeah, after all of that, like all of these working class immigrants united together, and like to the end of what you were saying earlier with like it's a different tone from what it is today. Yes, back then it was the working class, and they got sick of American, European businessmen and plantation owners for giving them like a bunch of unfair wages over all this time and treating them like dirt, paying them dirt for like backbreaking work. So all of them together, like all of these Portuguese, Puerto Ricans, all these Asians, Southeast Asians, and then Polynesians came together and created the Hawaii Laborers Association, and just like demanding like better pay and benefits and whatnot. So they really bonded together on that. Different from today, like Mark Zuckerberg coming to Hawaii and buying like 1,600 acres of land for his like tertiary estate.
Yeah.
So it's like not contributing. I think that's why everybody got along and the tone was different.
Are you trying to say TikTok influencers aren't working class?
I fulfilled my lifelong dream at 18 to move to Hawaii. There's so much of that. It's so crazy.
Boy,
But-
we did hit a million stream or a million plays on TikTok, so we might be
influencers.
moving to Hawaii. Sean, you got to claim Puerto Ricans so we can move there.
Yeah, me and you fit the bill. 2/3. I think we're chilling.
2/3 a vote.
Sean's like, I'm the Portuguese guy.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm their boss.
So out of all the immigrants that came, Japanese, Filipino, and Chinese were like the most. And at the very beginning, in 1853, indigenous Hawaiians made up 97% of the population. And within 150 years, no, not even 150, less than 100, at 1923, Hawaiians were 16% of the population.
Oh, what happened?
Yeah. So we were one of the, we quickly became one of the minorities. I don't know. There's a lot of politics that come. I just explained what happened. All the immigrants came. But I think, I don't know all of the politics behind it, but with it, like I said, these immigrants were coming and, from what I understand, contributing. So I think for the most part, we made it work, you know? That's a rundown on the history of immigration in Hawaii. Put a pin in that. Now we're going over to California. A man named Glenn Grant, born in 1947. So right at the tail end of all of this happening in Hawaii. Glenn Grant grows up in California and goes to school at UCLA, gets a bachelor's degree in history. Following year, receives an invitation from his colleague and good friend, Dennis M. Ogawa, who's also a professor at the University of Hawaii. Not sure how they connected, but they're good friends. This is in 1970. Dennis Ogawa sends Glenn Grant an invitation to come to Hawaii. Check it out. I'm sure it was part vacation, but it became much more than that. When Glenn Grant visited, he decided, I want to move here. And the following year,
as one does,
relocated, you know? So while in Hawaii, he went back to school, went to graduate school at the University of Hawaii and earned a master's in education. And then later on, a doctorate in American studies, finishing that up in 1982. After that, he taught political science at the University of Hawaii for 30 years. So Glenn Grant became a local. And
is that possible? Like, as an outsider, can you earn that title?
Yeah.
Is it hard? Is it an arduous journey?
I don't think it's hard.
What do you have to do?
What, Kalima? Go. What's the criteria?
You just gotta like be able to give it back.
Okay.
Like,
I gotta write this down.
All the Howley kids that I knew growing up, like, some of them could kick it with the locals, and they just knew how to like not take it and just like speak pidgin back. Pidgin is a big part, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all about giving back. So like the whole. Okay, I think this is appropriate to share. And this is kind of going off tangent, but that's okay because I'm very much about this. So I want to share the story. So help me out if I get anything wrong or you remember something I don't. I want to share the story about the first Hawaiian. And it's one of my favorite stories, and I think it serves as a good foundation for how we are as a people. And if you want to be a part of the people and like become what you're asking, like a local, then you have to abide by this same build, in my opinion. So Papa and Wakea, together they are, is it Mother Earth and Father Sky?
I think so.
Father Earth, Mother Sky, one of the others.
Yeah.
Details of which are shady or are fuzzy to me. And they had a son, their first son, unfortunately stillborn. Little did they know, there was a twin that followed. Successfully, or fortunately, he lived and named him Haloa. So they buried the stillborn child right away and tended to his grave. And as Haloa grew up, they told him, this is your older brother, you know, and we need to take care of him. So while tending to his brother's grave, out came the taro plant. So the taro plant is very like integral to Hawaiian culture.
Staple.
It's a big staple, yeah. In Hawaiian, it's called kalo. So as they took care of his older brother constantly would give this plant, and this plant serves every purpose needed under the sun for like basic survival. So like food, materials for building shelter, things like that. And there's 3 parts to the kalo. There's the root, the stem, and the leaf. You can use the root for medicinal purposes, for food. Same thing with the leaf. But the stem is what you need to give back. And when you plant it in the ground, then it can regrow. Yeah, you propagate it. So that's the whole philosophy. Philosophy is basically you can't take everything. You have to give back some. And as you give back and you take care, as we as Hawaiians and locals take care of our older brother, then he gives back to us. So that's the legend, how it goes. It's just learning what the land has in store, and it's okay to take from it, but you also have to know how to give back as well. So that's how you become a local in Hawaii.
That's beautiful, bro.
It's a really beautiful story. I love that story a lot. And it, in a lot of ways, it guides, dictates like what I believe in. It's like you have to have an equal balance with every person, your job, whatever you do, like learn how to give back some and educate yourself on like how you got here too, Was that right? Kalima, my fact checker? He's all like, what the hell even is that?
No, that's all true. It's all right.
Cool. So
he's all, you need to take back that whole story and give the truth.
Real quick in the comments, people are asking, how did BYU get involved with Hawaii? That was just the missionaries. Simple answer.
Also,
there's a really deep tie between Mormon culture and history and Polynesians. Like this is going really deep, but one of our old Mormon prophet came out and was like, the Polynesian people are the people of the Book of Mormon, which is like a sacred text that Mormons have and live their life by. So like it's really deep, the connection between Polys and Mormons. And so like they set up shop in New Zealand. They set up shop in New Zealand and they set up shop in Hawaii. And so there's like really strong Mormon culture in Polynesia. Yeah. So that's part of it. And it's also where DJ's dad pushed him into the fountain. So deep Mormon, 3 a.m. lore as well. That's where he got baptized.
Yeah, joke's on him. I came out gay. So did the opposite effect. I'm here. Daddy.
What the hell even is that?
Aloha, Daddy. He's all like, aloha, goodbye. Okay. So here we have Glenn Grant. He's in the islands. He's integrated. He's teaching. He's learning about the political science in the islands. And he grows very fond of it. And he, as a child, had a huge fascination with ghost stories. And he connected the two. And he said, growing up, I loved ghost stories. The people here are rich in culture. And Hawaii is just a melting pot of these cultures from all over the world, right? They have to have stories. What are they? So he spent the remainder
This dude's my hero, dog.
He spent the remainder of his life collecting these stories and put them into various different formats. Let me read some of them here. So when you get the chills, what do you call that?
We call it goosebumps, and so does the right. The people who are right call it goosebumps. What do you call it, DJ? Surely not something else.
In Hawaii, we call it chicken skin.
Ugh.
Oh, yeah.
That makes me think of a nutsack for some reason. I don't know why, but that's all I can think of, bro.
Same, Same. So Glenn Grant started a few different things to host his stories or to tell these stories that he collected. And he called them the chicken skin series and the chicken skin tales. And they came in the form of books. He had a radio show, the Chicken Skin Radio Show, for a long time, where he would retell these stories from locals, or locals would come on and tell these stories.
You know your homie who makes t-shirts?
Yeah.
I think the old radio show Chicken Skin, that would be such a dope tee.
That would be a dope t-shirt. Yeah, because he did a Morgan's Corner t-shirt.
If you want to do it, dude.
Dude, honestly, we should. So that was a big thing that he produced, was the Chicken Skin series. Some of them had a fictional aspect where he plays as like a detective, but then the stories that things that happens to the detective were sourced from like real stories from the locals. So those were like some of his books, like turned them into like a semi-fictional kind of account, just to kind of not dramatize the actual stories, but like dramatize everything around it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so that was one, the Chicken Skin series. The second one was how I found out about Glenn Grant. And when I was a kid, I went to a Huimanu Elementary School. Down the street, find me riding my scooter
You see me
or my bike down the hill.
Your budget-ass bike you got for Christmas?
My budget-ass bike.
Oh, no, that was a scooter, like the off-brand Safeway one?
Yeah, the off-brand. Yeah, and everybody knew.
It was like a tech deck?
Yeah. I just hear like, bitch, like getting yelled at me all the time, riding my fake razor. And in the library, and I've talked about this before, so if you're a longtime listener, this might sound familiar. Everybody at one point or another would make the trip, instead of going to recess, would go to the library. Nerdy thing to do. But if there's a reason why something's pulling you to the library rather than recess, like you got to go check it out once.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
And you go into the library, you pass the computer lab. I passed my speech therapist who helped me get rid of my lisp.
You're determined, bro. You're on a mission.
I'm on a mission. And I walk past the front desk lady and I go to the back corner and I'm looking and I find it. It's right there. And it's a book written by Glenn Grant. And I pull it out and I'm with my friends. And it is called Obake Files. Ghostly Encounters in Supernatural Hawaii. And I have a copy here. So this isn't the exact copy. I do have like the same edition that was in the library. It's like a way bigger book, and there's pictures inside. I couldn't find that one, but same. Anyway, Obake Files is the second notable work from Glenn Grant. The first was Chicken Skin series, and then Obake Files. So Obake Files is all the stories straight. And the way it's presented is so fire, dude.
Bro, I want to read this. I need to.
I'm getting on Audible right now, dude.
I tried to find the PDF online to take like specific excerpts on my computer and like also the pictures, but I couldn't find it. I had to like take pictures with my phone and upload it. So that's what we'll use tonight. I'm sure there's an Audible of it, but Glenn Grant, I get the feeling that he's a really respectful person. And the way he approached this was with only respect. He did make a large note, and I'll try to paraphrase here. I have not fictionalized any of the stories as they were collected in their original form. Consequently, I have not exaggerated or altered the supernatural account for a Halloween effect. However, each story, even the historical records, have been retold in my voice. Since I have a total lack of ability to speak or write in effective pidgin English, I have been forced to restate all the stories in standard English. I do this with apology to the original storytellers, who in some cases told a much better and more lively story in their own dialect. He goes on to say, although many of the stories contained in this collection refer to Hawaiian ghosts or ancient entities, this collection should not be misconstrued as a study of native Hawaiian belief concerning the spirit world, either past or present. These are public tales shared in the public arena concerning the common beliefs of all islanders, as they have formed a new type of supernatural tradition in the last 150 years. Essentially, it flows from the soul of the people of Hawaii of all races, unbound by criticism of superstition, and free to express what is real and unreal on its own terms. And then he finishes by detailing what you're going to get into once you get past the foreword. And it's the Obake Files is divided into 3 cabinets. The Supernatural of Hawaii, Types and Styles is the first. Haunted Hawaii is the second. And Uncanny Photographs are the third. So,
bro,
within
this is going
each-
to have to be like a multiple part episode.
within each cabinet are different case files with different folders. And it's like, just looking at the table of contents, folder 1, there is life in the rock. And we've talked about like lava rocks and stealing them from Hawaii.
Yeah.
Other ones are like folder 5, Visions of Pele. We talked about Pele, the fire goddess of Hawaii.
Dude, someone recently hit us up and was like, that was their favorite shit.
Really?
And like the whole discography, they were like, Pele, that story of Pele like freaked them out.
Crazy.
Yeah.
File cabinet 2, folder 1, Places of Mystery and Spirit. Folder 3, The Island's Haunted Houses. And then all the photographs at the end. And as a kid in the library, we would freak ourselves out to no end looking at these photographs and our minds being blown. The images in this book are burned into my memory because I saw them at such an early age and we looked at them often. Like we made our pilgrimage to the library like once or twice a year. Every year in elementary school, everybody did and be like, did you see that Obake files? Of course I saw, like the whole school saw it at one point, you know? Did you grow up with Obake files?
Trauma bonding.
Yeah, exactly. Kalima had it too as a kid.
Yeah, everyone in our elementary school library, it was like everybody got to stop and look at the pictures.
Yeah. And there's only one book, so like everybody's got to take a turn with their group, you know?
Yeah.
So very core memory for a lot of us. I think I speak for a good number of Hawaii locals. So
I love it, dude.
Tonight's story comes from that. Sorry, that was a really long intro, but just kind of illustrating that. I mean, I don't think it's obscure fact to anybody, but Hawaii is extremely diverse and rich. And when you look at this small little niche, which are ghost stories, there's a lot that comes from the richness.
That's literally like this podcast. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And Glenn Grant collecting the stories for decades and then retelling them. That's exactly what 3 a.m. is. So
like it's kind of mind blowing how similar or like what we want to do.
Yeah.
And he did it. And even his aesthetic, like the cabinet and the files is like, I love that shit.
Yeah.
That's so dope, dude.
Yeah.
But I like what he said when he was like, this is not to be used as like a history of Hawaii or Hawaii like belief because
this isn't the doctrine or truth of Hawaii. This is just.
And what you were saying with like the huge mass migration, it's like such a crazy mix of cultures. There's going to be a ton of overlap. And so I'm sure like in this, we're going to feel things from the Japanese, from the Filipino, from Chinese and stuff like that. And that all kind of informs like each other's experiences and stuff like that. So I like that he did that because I could see that being like, you know, an issue to address.
Yeah. So big up to Glenn Grant. Let's just jump into some of the stories already.
Let's do it.
Let's start with the ones that I gave you guys.
Perfect.
Let's go.
As DJ said, Sean and I kind of took, DJ gave us a couple stories from the Obake files. So we divvied them up between ourselves. And I'm going to start with a story that was printed in a Hawaiian newspaper. And it was based off of a police report that was made after this incident. So it feels very credible. And there's actually like photos of the newspaper story. So you can like literally read the account. So 911 is called. A report is made. There's 3 girls. They're living in a home. And this home is widely regarded in the area as being haunted. 3 girls call the police. They're freaking out. They say, what's going on? What's happening? And they said, I don't know. Like, we've been feeling weird all day. We've been hearing weird noises. We hear someone walking around. We can't see them. And one of the girls in particular is freaking out the most. And she says, something keeps touching me and I can't see what it is. But a hand keeps resting on my arm and I look down and there's nothing there.
Ew.
Cops are like, what do you want to do? And the girls are so freaked out. They're like, we're getting out of here. Can you guys get in your car and meet us? Cop says, yes. Do you have anywhere safe to go? One of the girls says, yeah. My mom, she lives in Papakolea.
Oh, wow. Good job. Said like a true local.
Thank you. Step one of being accepted.
Learn the language.
She lives in Papa John's Kalia. They said, my mom lives over there. Can you meet us?
Yeah, there's a picture we have of Kaimuki, modern day Kaimuki, and what it looks like the area that's in.
So this is modern.
in that valley that's right below. And we've all been there. Do you remember the lookout I took you guys that late one night?
Oh, yeah.
It's called Round Top Drive or Tantalus. So right like at
Oh,
the bottom
those are
of all
those
that.
buildings that you see down there.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, dude.
So Papakolea, Kaimuki, they're all right next to each other.
So this happened quite a bit ago. So it was a little more rural. And girls say, cops, can you meet us? Like, we're freaking out. Just make sure we're good. And the cop says, yes. Cop gets in his car and gets behind the girls. And they're going down the road towards mom's house. At some point, the cop is behind him. He can see there's 3 girls in the car. 2, front seat, driver, and then 1 in the middle. And all of a sudden, pandemonium breaks out in the car. Bodies are flying, moving. People are reaching and grabbing. Car pulls over. And it pulls over into Oasis Cafe, which is no longer there. But at the time, there was an Oasis Cafe that was right there on Wailea Avenue. Car pulls over. Cop pulls over. He can see the 2 girls. It almost looks like they're attacking the girl in the middle. She's arching her back and just moving in a crazy way. Cop runs up to the car and he looks in. And he can see the girl in the middle is grabbing her throat and pulling as hard as she can. And on her throat, he can see something choking her, pulling her into the back of the car. So he starts to reach in the window to help out, pull her away, help her out. And as he reaches in, his arm is blocked and it's grabbed, he says, by a callous hand, and it's whipped behind him and pulled back. And he falls away from the car. Girl's still freaking out. She's choking. She's fighting for her life. He runs to his squad car, calls for backup. And it's a small town, so quickly, Sergeant help gets there. 2 big police officers run to the car, open it up, and they try wrestling this girl free. And the strength of 2 of them, they cannot do anything.
Meanwhile, she's still choking,
Fighting for her life.
grasping at her neck, trying to breathe.
Finally, they pick her up, they run her to the cop car, throw her in the back of the car, and they turn the key. And the car will not start. So they switch plans quick, pull her out of the car. The second she leaves the car turns on. They throw her in the car with the 3 girls, and that car turns on and they start driving. They're going to try to get to mom's house as quick as they can. So again, 3 girls in the car in front, 2 cops in the car behind, and they're following. The car starts driving down the road. As the car is driving down the road, the door pops open. And the girl who's getting strangled flies out of the car. She's pulled out of the moving car. So once again, girl car pulls over, cop car pulls over. They run up, and this is when they really start trying to get her. They said they're grabbing her hands and pulling them away from her throat, and both of them can't do anything. It's looking dire. They're freaking out. There's nothing they can do until the sergeant stands up, looks over, he sees the cafe, and he takes off, leaving the cop and the girls. They're fighting for her life. She's choking. She's going blue. She's freaking out. They have no idea where the sergeant went, and all of a sudden he shows back up with 2 things in his hand. He has Hawaiian salt and water. And quickly he mixes it up and just sprays everyone.
That's classic Hawaiian alchemy.
The second he covers the girl, she's released. Everyone's released. The pandemonium stops. The attack is done. As she catches her breath, as they're all kind of calmed down because they just went through this traumatic event, they look at him and all he can say is my grandmother used to tell me that if I ever encountered something like this, get Hawaiian salt and water and spray everyone. He's like, I didn't believe her, but obviously it worked. So that's the story. That's the first story. It was printed in a Hawaiian newspaper, like I said, based off of a police report.
And a credible one too. It's not like the National Enquirer.
Yeah,
like,
no.
It's like our New York Times. I think it was the Honolulu
Times or some shit.
Star Bulletin, I think it was.
Yeah. So here you go. Obviously, what did you redact, bro?
No, that was the Oasis Cafe was redacted. I tried to
Weird,
find the article online without the redacted, but it's just the Oasis Cafe, which doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I was going to start the story by saying, unlike Grant, the way I tell stories is I read it and I watch it in my head as a movie and then I retell it. So obviously I do, he was like, I don't frill it up or exaggerate. Sorry, I do a tiny bit. So I apologize. But you can read that story. It's pretty spot on to what I shared and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
This is one case in the Obake files that they use to bring up a very specific entity as a potential culprit. And that entity is known as the Kasha, right?
That's correct. So let me take it from here. And correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but the Kasha, which we have a picture of here, is a Japanese yokai, which we've talked about before, or it's a variation, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what it does is it steals the corpses of people who have died as a result of accumulating evil deeds. And the literal term translated from Kasha is a fire cart, but a more accurate translation is fire cat. So it's this cat-like creature with flames following behind it that would disguise itself as a common house cat, but would show its true form at funerals or in graveyards as it swoops in to steal the corpse of the dead.
Dude, imagine at a funeral and you watch this thing just crawl out from the rafters towards your deceased loved one. You're sharing a beautiful eulogy about their life. They were the best person. Psych.
They were the worst person.
They were the worst person.
Bro, terrifying. And this is supposed to be the size or bigger of just a regular person as well. Bipedal cat creature with flames following behind it. And it was said to jump down off of the rooftops to snatch the bodies and drag them down to hell. Now, they wouldn't always drag them down to hell either. One thing that they would also do is they would take them for themselves and consume the corpse. And in addition to that, if they didn't consume the corpse, they would reanimate it to do its bidding. So that's the Kasha. And
Bro, the scariest part of it is that they shapeshift into like house cats. So they could be anywhere. You know what I mean?
Literally.
And
there's a whole catalog of all the, we went over with the yokai and yurei, but it's like, dude, it's eerily similar to like Pokemon. Like they all have their own identity. They all have their own abilities. They all do different things. And it's like they have their own names.
True. The when reading into this, the one part that stuck out to me is like the funeral part where like their goal is to capture souls. I don't know why, but I've come across that a lot in a lot of different things. You know, when we talked about like the foot soldier for Satan, where like he showed them the barrier that they move and he's like, we sit here and we try to capture them.
Yeah.
It's like, that's such a through line in like so many different cultures, is like an entity that tries to capture souls as they transfer from this realm to the next. I don't know why, but it always freaks me out.
Yeah, dude. I was just, any of you listen to Ari Shafir, the comedian? Did you listen to his special this year, Jew?
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite specials.
So good. It's so good. But he talks about something similar. He was like, so there's the Torah, their main Bible. And then there's another book that they're advised, like, do not read this holy book until you're 35 and you can't be single. You have to be married to read this book. So for us, I forgot the name of it, but I would assume it's kind of like the Apocrypha. You know, like the Apocrypha in Christians, like it used to be canon, like Christian canon. Now it's not really, but the Apocrypha has like the craziest stuff, like magic spells and dragons and things like that. So that's what I was thinking of. I'm just pulling from what like my own references. But when Ari Shafir went to Jerusalem as an 18-year-old to study to become a rabbi for like 3 years, he knew about the book and he like decided to like go find it in the library one day.
He's a mischief boy, bro. Straight up a Harry Potter. Like,
he referenced that. He was like, when I opened it, I thought there's gonna be like faces coming out like Harry Potter and whatnot. Anyway, he opens it up and he was like, it was only like 1 minute until I got caught. But I got so lucky because in that 1 minute, I just opened the book and immediately it goes to the part where it talks about masturbation.
as it usually does.
As it usually does. And he says, in that book, it talks about
I remember this.
when you he basically says like in the book it talks about when you masturbate, there is a demon woman who sits on you and receives you when you ejaculate and has demon babies. So he's like, so little did I know as a teenager. It's like, I'm just producing babies. And the book continues by saying that when you die, before you go to heaven, you have to go meet the demon woman and all of your demon children. All these demon children are like deformed and they're pissed at you because they didn't get to get a real body, physical body, and they're all just like mad at you. Anyway, they're just like these demons that sit in between death and like heaven almost.
Damn.
Sorry.
Honestly, checks out.
Not
Checks
really
out,
a tangent, but yeah, dude.
Next time my parents
think that's
bother me
real.
about not having kids.
Yeah, it's like, I've been having quite a bit.
Anyway,
I just haven't met them.
great special. Y'all should listen to it. Way
It's
too
called
funny.
Ari Shafir Jew. It's on YouTube. But yeah. Dude,
But anyways.
interesting.
The Kasha.
The Kasha.
Okay, real quick.
Go ahead.
You've been to the cemetery at Valley of the Temples?
Yeah.
That's where I grew up.
So many cats.
Oh, hella cats, bro. Cats and peacocks
can
all
think
over the
of, like-
valley. It's also partly a pet cemetery.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
A big part
Kasha
of it is a
cemetery,
pet.
bro.
There's also, I think, I could be wrong. I think there's an elephant buried there as well. I think there was like a circus where an elephant broke out in Hawaii a long time ago. They killed
Just
it
a
because it was
tongue and
running
punched
rampant
it.
in the city.
Someone's trampled it.
Yeah.
Like, I got this.
Then Hewlett. It's an
They're like,
old
horse
font.
is good. I've always wanted to try elephant.
Yeah. Don't let the Tongans
finally-
hear about this elephant. We gotta bury
Let
this
it out,
thing
bro.
before they find out.
He just opened the gate and he's like, it's out.
Is that it though? You're like, there's hella cats
Well, I
there.
can think of like 3 different cemeteries where I always see like a group of cats.
Bro, that's
Why are
checks
cats? Why are cats such a point? Like they're an animal that's always referenced, like witchcraft and like black
Egyptian.
cats
Or
and
like
bad omens.
underground, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's it called? Egyptian. They were like gods, right?
Yeah.
Previous
Cats were
gods.
Crazy.
The mummy, Imhotep or whatever. He got real nervous around him.
Yeah, he was afraid of them because they're the
Second
keepers of the
reference to the
underworld.
mummy.
Yeah.
Actually, the video you sent us to like source these stories, DJ, which Sean, don't forget to shout out at the end of it, because I might have to go in a minute. He mentioned that where these stories take place is known for a lot of cats being around. So
Yeah.
interesting. But yeah,
But anyways, the reason we bring this up is the location where the 3 girls lived in Charles' story was also the location that was thought to be haunted by this Kasha, which we have a picture of. The Kasha first started inhabiting this house after a man had killed his wife, son, and daughter in the house and buried their bodies on the property. The bodies of the wife and the son still hadn't been found, or had been found, but the daughter's body is still missing. This newspaper clipping is describing once again an encounter with this entity, the Kasha. In 1942, the police receive a desperate phone call from a woman who's living at this location, and she claims her children were being strangled by a ghost. So the police respond to the call. They're terrified at what they see once they get to the house. The children being thrown around, very similar to Charles' story, the appearance of something choking the children. And they try what was attempted in Charles' story with the water and salt, the Hawaiian salt.
Mm-hmm. Seriously, that's like the potion. We everybody had potions class at one point growing up in Hawaii. Like my great grandmother would lay Hawaiian salt on all the windowsills to prevent evil spirits from getting in.
Shout
And
out
also
to
like, yeah, dude, it was always like some combination of water, Hawaiian salt, and tea leaves. So
Yeah.
just like sprinkling that was like our holy water, dude.
Yeah. Well, and according to the video that DJ sent us, which was Hawaii's Most Haunted, they do a story on or he does a story on this. Allegedly, this water and salt did not work, at least not right away. It was an hour plus before the police were finally able to get the children out of the house and stop them from being strangled by this invisible entity that was attacking them.
So the police got there and with the family was trying to fight this thing for an hour and a half before they all decided to leave.
Yes.
They were unfruitful. in their
Unfruitful.
efforts.
Yeah, actually it was leaving the house, not necessarily the salt and the water that helped in this particular situation.
Yeah.
So the Kasha was still like grounded in the area at that point. But that was referenced in the newspaper clipping. And as far as I know, the Hawaii's Most Haunted video, he said the house may actually not be there anymore. It may have been taken down, but it just hasn't been verified yet. But
They have, so what's his name? Glenn Grant.
Yeah.
He doesn't explicitly say the address of these places
This is just
for
the
obvious
belief.
purposes, but there's an uncle who has a YouTube channel, Uncle Lopaka.
Dope, by the way.
Yeah.
Mysteries
great.
of Hawaii.
Histories or mysteries?
Mysteries of Hawaii.
Mysteries of Hawaii. That's what I thought. And he summarizes these stories amongst other stories as well. But master storyteller, cultural practitioner, he knew Glenn Grant personally.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1999, Glenn Grant took him on a drive. Not sure exactly what for, but one part of their drive included them going through Kaimuki, which is where these stories took place. And at the end of this particular street, Glenn Grant points at the second house, second to the last house on the end on the left, and says, that house may or may not have a tombstone of a certain man in the backyard. Referring to another story that's along a string of stories similar to these
two
that happened in the same area regarding Kasha or poltergeist and just paranormal activity. Obake. Obake means ghosts in Japan, I believe, or in Japanese. So,
Yeah. Well, that's basically the end of the story. It was a short newspaper clipping, and as far as I know, that they survived, but they had to leave the house to get away from it.
Bro, brutal ass ghosts. There's
Crazy.
like some stories of the Kasha that like rip people limb to limb. So like you could say they got off light, but still anything that like chokes your ass out for an hour and a half just gives you a haunted hiding, bro. That's not fun.
no.
But
Agreed.
boys,
You got a
DJ,
dip?
I do. I will hear your story in editing, so I'm really excited, but I'm really sorry I have to miss.
It's okay. It's okay.
So you're gonna have to give me a break as I take absence. But you guys, thank you. I love you so much. I'm gonna go help baby.
Cool.
And
Do your thing.
till
boy.
next week for me. Bye, love you. Be safe.
Thanks, Charles.
Sweet.
Okay. Cool. This is Obake Files, and I wanted to share the specific ones I came across as a child. So in the past, I've talked about the pali, and pali means cliff in Hawaiian. During Kamehameha's conquest, which is the first great king of the Kingdom of Hawaii, he came to the island of Oahu to try to get them to unite. They wouldn't. They fought. I don't know if it was actually Kamehameha who did this. There was a war. It was Kamehameha?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Basically, they tricked the enemy into this valley, and then they basically pulled them into the valley, and Kamehameha's armies ran up the sides and held their breath, and was really quiet. And the opposing army followed that, like past them, and went further into the valley. When they had passed Kamehameha's army, Kamehameha descended down from the hills, and they were now behind the army, and basically chased the army to the Pali. And this Pali is a famous lookout that it's a quick tourist destination of a view of the whole east side of Oahu. If you've traveled to Hawaii as a tourist, chances are like this is a place that you would go to or may have visited, but they pushed the entire army off the cliff.
Bro.
And you've heard us talk about Morgan's Corner. Morgan's Corner is like around this cliff, and all the bodies just laid there. Yeah, so there's a famous painting in Hawaii of this whole event, and this is it. But this is called the Battle of Nu'uanu. So Nu'uanu is the valley in which all of this happened, and that's the Pali. Like, if you go to the Pali lookout, this is obviously without the bodies. You'll see like this mountain range exactly.
Yeah.
It's this is exactly what you'll see. My story. In 1985, Ruth Tabron, a visitor from Philadelphia, took 3 photographs at the Pali lookout. Several years later, she was deciding which of the 3 she was going to discard. But when she examined them, she noticed something in one of the photos, which was vaguely in the other picture and absent in the third. This picture is titled "The Warrior at the Pali," and there's also a close-up of it as well.
Oh, yeah.
So that thing in her 3 pictures, I assume she took consecutively, appears in one, is halfway in another, and then absent in the final.
Wild.
So this is me as a child, in the library, reading this
How is this
story
possible?
and looking at this, and it's so crazy. As an adult, it's like pretty crazy to see this, but as a child, like, dude, me and my homies just like, Obake files.
Plus, you live 20 minutes from here.
Yeah, dude. So the lookout, the Pali lookout that we showed the painting, like it, like the city that you're looking at is my hometown. Anyway, so I mean it's pretty simple. There's not a huge story to it. Mm-hmm. Lady takes a picture. That's what develops. Similarly, with another picture, which I think is the craziest one, and everyone else, I think it was unanimously decided. Photos number 8 and 9 in Obake files were contributed by Lance Sato, an instructor at Hawaii Tokai International College, who also contributed the following statement. This is a photo taken in the spring of 1981. In my junior year of high school, my friends and I decided to have our picture taken by a professional photographer. The photographer suggested that the picture be taken at Aiea Heights Park in front of the Keaiva. I think it's Keaiva Heiau. And Heiau is like a sacred temple that Hawaiians built. It looks like a pile of rocks. But yeah, those heiaus were sacred places, temples for Hawaiians. We wanted to take a picture in front of this particular heiau. I remember one of us asking him if it was all right to take a picture in front of a heiau. He replied that he had placed a stone wrapped in tea leaf as an offering at the site. Very traditional. That checks out. Later, the photographer showed us the developed pictures, and we all decided this photograph was the one we wanted. That same year, my grandmother fell ill and came to live with my family. During this time, I used to have many conversations with her about ghosts and the supernatural. My grandmother had many stories about personal experiences. I jokingly made a comment to her once that I wouldn't mind seeing a ghost. In October of that year, my grandmother passed away. I don't want to read the whole story. He continues talking about like some other unfortunate events and basically ties everything back to this picture and him talking about I wouldn't mind seeing a ghost, because he basically got what he asked for, is what he deduced. And this is the photo that developed.
Oh, what the?
Does anybody see anything?
I think so.
What do you see, Sean?
Is that in the bottom left corner?
Exactly.
I don't like that. It's like behind the people in the picture. It looks like behind the tree behind them. So there's a tree behind them. And then behind that is like
Almost like it's peeking.
like it's peeking out from behind the tree like a face.
And it's like very clearly a face. There's a close-up picture of it too.
Oh, 100% a face, dude.
That was a picture that developed. That one titled "A Face in the Temple." So, Obake Files at the back of the book has a handful of pictures like this with the accompanying stories. Yeah, that was the very beginnings of me, like my interest in these things. And at the time, and for many years later, I did not like this. And then full circle, we're just like
Still don't
putting
like
it
that.
out. That was a very brief look into Obake Files and how Hawaii's history has influenced a lot of things. Go ahead and pull up the picture of Glenn. It was hard. This was the only picture I could find of Glenn Grant. Not the best picture. It's older. Glenn Grant passed away in the early 2000s from cancer.
R.I.P.
Honestly, I am glad that he developed like this anthology. All the stories from locals who believe in something, something else going on, Not always bad, not always good, but stories nonetheless gathered together in what we know as Obake Files. So that's all I have tonight. I do have a bonus story to share that will be for our patrons. So if you're just listening and you're not a patron, consider supporting us. Every dollar helps, and get some extra content along the way too. So this content is absolutely left turn, has nothing to do with Hawaii. What's up, guys? Just shared a bonus story for the patrons. So go check it out. Whether you are or aren't a patron, and if you want to support us and get a little extra, consider joining if you haven't already. I think that does it for tonight. Does anybody have anything else?
Nope.
Kalima Wren, thank you for joining. Sean, love and appreciate you. Charles had to dip early because baby girl. Trust your girl, watch your back.
And be careful out there.
And we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of 3 a.m. If you want to support us, visit our Patreon, where patrons have access to exclusive content. If you're not able to support us monetarily, don't worry. This episode is on us. You can still rate and review us on whatever platform you listen to us on. It really does go a long way. You can also follow us on social media. Our handle everywhere, including Patreon, is the 3 a.m. pod. Finally, do you have any scary stories? If so, submit them to our website, the3ampodcast.com. We love any audio or visual aids that can help bring your stories to life. So file uploads are welcome with your written submissions. We're anxious and excited to hear from you.